book Success Principle is basically a timeless book written by Jack Canfield for personal development, resulting into professional growth. And these principles, these 67 principles which Jack Canfield has described in his book throughout, are basically timeless. He would have written it decades and decades back, and like I was telling Nilkanth, that they are still relevant in modern day and age when there is so much of uncertainty around us. There is a term how we define it. It is called as VUCA: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That is the world we live in, fortunately or unfortunately. The geopolitical risk is at height, all-time high. We have just come out of the pandemic. Economies are going up and down like anything. So there is so much of complexities and uncertainties in the world today. And this timeless piece highlights those principles irrespective of what the economic cycle is, irrespective of what how nations are going up and down. Each individual has their own journey of going up and down in life, and there are certain principles or there are certain rules which remain same, which you can apply and which one can apply in their daily lives to grow in their personal space, to grow in their professional space. So it's a good refresher to how to have a happy life. I will not say a successful life, because I don't know, different people have different uh, yard line to measure success. So to lead a happy, fulfilling life, learning and development should be on the move. And this particular book, basically, I've started to go to office regularly from 2023, and I've been a fan of audiobooks again, because during the pandemic you would read physical hard copy books, but going to office, you would read these audiobooks on the go, what I would call them as my university on the wheels, right?
Yeah.
And this particular book I read, or should I say, heard Jack Field's voice in my ears throughout these journeys up and down, going to office, the whole February. And 2024 is an uncertain year, and there were so many negative thoughts. And a human mind is a monkey brain. It jumps on so many things, but when you're listening to audiobook with such good thoughts, it just kept me focused, and it was really fantastic. So one of the thoughts which I really liked while listening to these books, I was keeping continuously posting them on LinkedIn also. And Nilkanth, you will be fascinated to know that those thoughts over the period of 1 month reached close to 29,000 people on LinkedIn. So basically,
Oh,
29,000 people went through these thoughts, and it was basically, you suggesting this book and putting these things into motion, greatly, or significantly, or even even a little bit impacting the lives of people around us. So it was a fantastic journey. So it is a fantastic book. I will not hold this podcast further, because all of us want to listen to Nilkanth, and why he selected this book and why this book is his all-time favorite. That was about the book, but let's get to know more about the speaker today. Who is Nilkanth? And Nilkanth is, I mean, I have known Nilkanth for years, but he's someone who is a seasoned professor with a career spanning of more than 38 years in the field of sales and management. He's armed with a engineering degree in mechanical. He did his mechanical engineering, and coupled with some advanced qualification like PGDBM from Bharati Vidya Bhavan, and further educating and keeping on this lifelong journey and pursuing the Masters of Management Studies in Marketing from Symbiosis. And he has been since honing his expertise in driving business growth and fostering strategic partnerships in India and internationally. And throughout his career, Nilkanth has held several leadership roles in renowned multinational companies where he has showcased his mettle. And Nilkanth's expertise goes beyond the boardroom, right? He actively engages in enriching activities such as reading and writing. His commitment to continuous learning and development underscores his dedication to excellence in both professional and personal realms. Over the years, I've been in touch with Nilkanth, connecting through his microblogs and articles, and also having the opportunity to meet him personally in Singapore in 2017. And one of the things which I which I really want to acknowledge today is Nilkanth being one of the people who continues to inspire a lot of us, including me. So without any further ado, Nilkanth, welcome today.
yeah. Thank you, Paras. I will, Paras, first like to thank you for inviting me for this podcast. And one thing which I have liked about this Words Book Club is that you are reading one book a month, reviewing the book, and then, sharing it with people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do read a lot, but I feel that it's very, very important to go deep into books.
Yeah.
I don't always go very deep, but a lot of times I do go deep. And the main point I want to focus on before I start speaking on the book is reading is fine, but more than reading is reflection, journaling, and application.
Yeah.
Unless we really, of course, you cannot go deep into every book, every chapter, every page. It's impossible. A lifetime may not be enough. So we are to select what resonates with us and then reflect, journal, and apply those portions in our life.
Yeah.
This is actually the most important. Otherwise, if people are only going to read, of course, reading as a hobby is very good, but reading without a focus, without reflection, journaling, and application is not really of much of use. Of course, it's better than not reading at all. So
Yeah.
I will not really propagate that don't read. Please read. But after reading, go beyond reading.
Correct.
Like just to repeat into reflection, journaling, and application. And coming to the book, there are various sections in the book. First section is on self-development, which is the section which I have chosen because unless we develop ourselves, we cannot do anything beyond that.
Yeah.
In the book, apart from developing ourselves, there is on relationships, team building, and money. Unless we develop ourselves, unless we have a good relationship with ourselves, we cannot have a good relationship with anyone. We cannot develop teams, and neither can we earn money. So first is we are to develop ourselves.
Yes.
And as this podcast is around an hour, the book has 64 principles, and 1 hour would be less to cover the principles, which is why I have focused on 8 principles which resonate with me personally. Maybe there are some principles there which resonate with some others, but I have taken what I felt personally are very critical for developing ourselves. So with this thought in mind, I will start with the first principle, which is taking 100% responsibility. Now, when we talking of 100% responsibility, I was first, I would say, introduced to this principle in the book 7 Habits of Successful People by Stephen Covey.
Yes.
So that was my first, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So that was my first introduction to taking full responsibility. Because I will be very honest, in my younger days, I really did not take full responsibility. And one of the reasons was that I was not aware. I mean, I am convinced that every person in that situation does the best that he can. And if a person is not taking 100% responsibility, it means he is not aware that he is to take 100% responsibility. So going by that logic, I realized that I could have done many more things. And after reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I became more aware. And reading this book further refreshed my memory on taking 100% responsibility, because everything starts and ends with us. If we do not take responsibility for ourselves, there is nothing else we can do.
Perfect.
Then the next point is results. Where if we are not getting the results what we want, it means we are not taking the kind of responsibility that we should be taking. So the most important point is to focus on the results. And if results are not coming, first see our behavior.
Correct.
and change our behavior to get the results. Now, Jack Canfield in the book talks of a very, I would say, a important formula. He says E plus R is equal to O. That is, event plus response is
Yes.
equal to outcome. Event is not in our control. I mean, for example, you join a company, you
Yeah.
don't get promotions or you don't get increments. That event is not in our hand. What is in our hand is our response,
Yes.
which will determine the outcome. So the most important point is that we are to see what is our response and correct our response accordingly. The next point about which I am personally passionate, and one of the reasons I'm passionate is I did not do what I'm now going to tell you, which now I have started to a large extent.
Yeah.
That is blaming people. There is a wonderful quote by Vernon Howard, who's an author who I've got his book. Vernon Howard says, blame is evidence of a person refusing to come to terms with what life teaches him, what he's yet to learn. So whenever we blame others, it is that we are to learn something. I mean, I myself have blamed in the past, and at that I'm aware that I should not be blaming. So I would say last couple of months, by reflecting, thinking about, journaling on that quote, I have become more aware about it.
Yeah.
And I had also posted on our Toastmasters book club that after reading the book, I have got a workbook of John Canfield. I
Yeah.
have done some exercises, and that workbook is really very good. For example, he differentiates between complaining and blaming. He says complaining is when you verbally express dissatisfaction with someone. Blaming is when you assign others responsibility. Now, there are some very good exercises, for example, in the book where he says when you complain, it's obviously because you want something better. For example, coming back to the earlier quote or earlier what I mentioned, not getting increments.
Yeah.
Why do we complain? Suppose we are not getting increments, is because we want something better. Now, the point is that to get a higher increment, we have to do something better. Maybe we have to work harder, develop good relationships with people, learn, improve ourselves, and then everything will fall in place. In the workbook, there is also a no blame exercise where he says when you start blaming people, maybe you don't say it because there are so many thoughts going up in our mind. I will come to that later on.
Yeah.
But we don't even know in our subconscious mind whether we are trying to blame someone. So important is to be aware. And in the workbook, there is an excellent no blaming exercise where whenever we start blaming someone, whether to ourselves or to others, we write the blame what we are giving, and then we do a no blaming exercise where we say that instead of blaming, what can I do to make this situation better?
Yeah.
So this is such an important point. And personally, I mean, we see politics. I'll shortly touch on that. Whether it's politics, I don't know about Singapore. I think it's much better. But countries like US, India, we are, continuous. There is one political party blaming the other political party.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder. I understand it's politics. It's totally different. But still, we somehow, instead of blaming, how maybe I'm being very theoretical. How can all the political parties get together and work to improve the nation?
Yeah.
This is, of course, easier said than done. But okay, let's, forgetting about politics, come to ourselves. Whether it's our family, whether it's our work, how can we, instead of playing politics and getting into blaming, work to improve our families, work to improve our companies wherever we are working?
Yeah.
And the next point is that
No, I think Nilkanth, I completely agree with you. And when I was reading the book, and while you mentioned it, also I read his quote, and then I, went to my social media account, and I posted it there that people complain about things which they can do something about. And this is what Jack Canfield also mentioned, that nobody complains about gravity. So if you have to build the tallest
Yes,
building, or if you have to
yes,
build a rocket to go to space,
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't complain
yeah,
about gravity. It's a design challenge which you have, and then you work towards it, you accept it, and then you make a rocket. You don't say, oh, moon's gravity is less, so it will be easier to make a rocket there, or somebody else's gravity will be less. You play with the cards which have been dealt. So we cannot complain about things which we cannot change. So we only complain about things which we can do something about. But if we can do something about something, then why are we complaining about it? Just roll up your sleeves and get going into it. And that brings
absolutely.
home your first point also, Nilkant, like taking 100% accountability in everything what you are doing. Whatever is happening in the world, it is your responsibility to make sure that what you are doing to make sure that things don't stay the way they are today. So yeah, I mean, I think these are fantastic conversations. And while we move on, so Nilka, I just quickly wanted to also ask, should I be sharing the presentation which you sent over, or the flow is good?
No, it's okay. I mean,
Okay,
even if you don't
fantastic.
share it, it's fine. It's fine. No problem.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we move on. Yes.
Yes. Now, the point is that what all I have talked up to now,
Yeah.
the most important point is what Jack Canfield talks of is a yellow alert. This is, something like a red light. When we are traveling by a vehicle,
Yeah.
we get a red light to stop because there are cars coming in from the other directions.
Yeah.
So Jack Canfield talks of a yellow alert. So when things are not working as per what we want, which means that we are to change our behavior to do what we should be doing to get what we want.
Yeah.
So the yellow alert is very important. For that, we have to be more aware.
Yeah.
That's the most important point.
Which is actually true in real life also, right? Most of the times we may not get a red light all of a sudden. It always those cautionary signals which we are avoiding maybe over months or years or even decades, which then eventually just bring us to halt. So for example, if somebody is in a relationship, you will get those yellow signs. If you are in a job which you don't like, you will get those yellow signs. Or if you're not performing as per the system is expecting you to perform, then you will get those yellow signals. And like you rightly said, Nilkant, it is important for us to observe these yellow signals and be aware that what's happening in the world around us, so that we don't all of a sudden face a red light and we are like, oh, what happened all of a sudden, why me? Then humans have this tendency to go into this thing called as why me, why all of a sudden is happening to me. Because the thing is that we as a humans have this tendency to ignore all these yellow alerts. And I think this is one of my favorite points from this discussion also, Nilkant, that we have to be aware of these yellow alert. I think I missed it in the book, but this conversation
Okay.
is bringing it up for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And Paras, I'll be very honest. I was not aware of these yellow alerts earlier. I have now become more aware
Yeah.
of yellow alerts. So it was only after, I would say, banging against a red light or breaking the red light and
Yeah.
getting caught. I mean, not by the policeman, but getting caught by life.
Exactly.
So that is the
Getting
time
caught
I
by
learned
life.
hard lessons.
Yeah. This is going to be one of my favorite points. I think I'm going to make it a short form content also. Getting caught by life.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Let's continue. Yes.
yeah.
I think
So
I want to engage you in this bilateral conversation, so it also doesn't get
absolutely.
unilateral for you.
Yeah, it doesn't get monotonous. Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree. It's very good,
Yeah.
Paras, that you're bringing it up. Excellent.
For
So it,
fantastic.
it improves our conversation and discussion. Absolutely.
Yes. 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 And
Yeah.
I'm a
So
big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this. I always say that individual learning is always dependent upon the engagement. If you are in a session in an office whereby somebody is presenting something, And even though you understand a little bit and there is some gray area which you don't understand, please raise your hand and ask the question. Because if you ask the question and that person is going to answer that question, you will always remember what the other person said. You it is no way that you will forget. Even the management leadership used to fly from all over the world to come to Pune, and I used to be this fresher who has just joined the corporate world, and they will give a presentation about the strategic priorities of this organization, and I may sometimes just raise my hand and ask a little bit question that what are the top three things which are successful to be to grow in this organization, a very simple question, and that person actually answered, and I never forget it. So I'm a big fan of this, Nilkanth, that engagement drives individual growth and learning. So that is the principle. I'm going to engage you throughout
Absolutely.
the session.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jack Canfield taking 100% responsibility was the first principle,
Yeah.
because as per Jack Canfield, unless you take 100% responsibility,
Yeah.
you cannot go ahead. I have a slightly different view, which I will come later. But
Yeah.
as for Jack Canfield, taking 100% responsibility was the first principle. The second principle is be clear why you are here.
Yeah.
Now, be clear why you're here reminded me of, basically, I would say, a book by Simon Sinek. Maybe you have heard of the book, Start
Yeah.
with Why.
Absolutely.
Now, the most important is, why are you here on this earth? I mean, is it just to enjoy yourself? Or is it just to make money? Or is it just to, I mean, go on holidays? Or is it just to go to movies? Is that the purpose why you're here on earth?
Yeah.
Or do you have a greater purpose? So Jack Canfield says it very clearly. Now, the question is, how do you find your why? You find your why by reading books. For example, Start with Why by Simon Sinek, whose one video on YouTube got 150 million views.
Yeah.
So, if someone wants to find his why, or I would say start with why. I will
Yeah.
not go to find your why, because that's another book of Simon Sinek, which I have purchased while reading the book. So
Fantastic.
starting with why, finding your why is the next step. Now I have to read what Simon Sinek has to say. But
Fantastic.
now here it is, starting with why.
Yeah.
So by journaling, reflection,
Correct.
experimenting, maybe you learn the hard way, you find your why.
Yeah.
So, and the question is, how do you know you have found your why? Now I have a basic principle which Jack Canfield talks of, which I have read in other books also,
Yeah.
is, do you have joy in every moment of your life? Of course, I'm carrying it to the other extreme, as Robin Sharma says, that no human being can be happy all the time, because each person will have ups and downs.
Yeah.
Important is, how are you getting through those downs, and are you having joy in your life in general? I mean, I have heard in some audiobooks, we have to come to one conclusion, that no human being can be happy all the time. That's very clear.
Yeah.
Now there are some studies, through research they have shown, that, say, out of a day of, okay, forget the sleeping time, that's a different topic. So when you are awake, whatever, 12 hours or 10 hours, 14 hours, whatever you're awake in the day, if out of those, taking it as 100%, if you have joy 70 to 80% of the time,
Yeah.
I mean that, uh, well, I will say that proportion can be plus or minus,
Yeah.
but if you are having joy 70 to 80% of the time, it's good. Now the question is, how do you know you are having joy? I mean, human beings are not so aware, because we have so many things going on in our head. There is an excellent book by Mihaly. I can't pronounce his second name, some chick something.
Yeah.
First name is Mihaly, the Flow.
Okay.
In that book, he says that you can put timers on your mobile, nowadays mobile,
Yeah.
and put it every half an hour, 1 hour, and when the alarm goes off, you check what you were doing, and are you getting joy at that point of time? Are you happy
Yeah.
doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
And if you are happy at that time and you're getting joy, then you reflect, what are you doing? So are you doing what you want to do, or is it something else? It could be whatever, I mean, personal, professional. I mean, for example, you go out with people,
Yeah.
maybe you are around, say, toxic people, and maybe you are not able to get out of the relationship. So becoming more aware, then you decide whom you should associate with, whom you should not associate with. So this is basically his point of joy. And this will end the second principle.
Yeah.
And should I go on to the third one?
Yes, yes, definitely, and I think I'll just add a little bit to here. And Jack basically adds, I mean, definitely touches this point there about finding your passion, because Steve Jobs had given this wonderful speech at the commencement in Stanford, I think, which everyone probably millions of people would have seen it in the world. Basically, where he says, about your passion, and start with why, and then people get confused. What is my passion? Is my passion playing a guitar, or is my passion really to do a management role in a multi national organization? But how do I find a passion? And then Jack basically gives his anecdote in the book, whereby he sees and says that, are you getting joy from your work, whether you are doing pottery or whether you are making presentation slides for being a management consultant? If you are getting joy from your work, and that's it. And then I think, Nilkanth, you just add to it when by you say that there is a proportionate. It may not be 100% that you are in extreme happiness, or bliss state. It might be a proportionate thing also. And if you are getting that kind, I mean, you're one of the luckiest people on the planet. Then completely agree with that on that, Nilkanth. So we move on to the success principle,
Yeah,
next one.
yeah, and just to add on what you said, Paras, is
Yeah.
that human beings would love to have a happiness machine
Yes.
plugged onto their
Yeah.
brain, so that every moment they are happy. But I don't think
Yes.
there is such a machine. And to add and conclude this, I
Yeah.
do not, if you are happy all the time,
Yeah.
it's not really a good thing.
Yes. No, I completely agree. It is like
There has to be
happiness
ups and
is
downs in life.
happiness is like sugar. You cannot have sugar all the time. You need to
Absolutely.
have a
You're good point.
contrast of sugary and savory, so that you relish
Yes,
life.
yes,
That is life. Having sugar all
absolutely.
the time is not life.
You will kill yourself with diabetes or whatever.
Excessive sugar is diabetes. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
I'm really happy how this whole session is progressing, step by step, and
Yeah,
I'm sticked to my screen, what next will come, because this is a golden session.
yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So next is the principle, believe in yourself. The first point is that we have to have the thought that I can do it. Now,
Yeah.
I will give you my own personal example. Say 30 years back, when I was 32, my son's age, my father used to always tell me that you can do anything that you apply your mind to. I mean, my father did very well for himself, and he told me this. But to be honest, I did not believe him. I
Yeah.
said, "How can I do anything I apply my mind to?" I said, "I can't." This thought left me in a stage of confusion. I mean, my father was convinced that whatever he applies his mind to, he can do, and he did it. He
Yeah.
did very well for himself, like I mentioned. But for me, I was confused. I said, no, I can't do what I apply my mind to. But it took me years. It took me a lot of reading. And today, I can say that yes, of course, I will not say that. Now, there are 2 points in this. One is, what do I want to do? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to do everything first thing. I don't want
Correct.
to climb Mount Everest, even if I can. But I feel that if I really apply my mind, I can even climb Mount Everest.
For sure.
So it took me years for that even thought to get into me. And I will also tell you one thing. Even though I said this to you now that I can climb Mount Everest, with so many thoughts in our head, I don't know, tomorrow I may start thinking, can I really climb Mount Everest? So
Correct.
anyway, I will come
Self-doubt.
to some. So at that moment we have to catch our thoughts. So
Yes.
my saying something, to be honest, has no meaning.
Yeah.
Something else may tomorrow I may think, I told Paras this, but I don't think I can climb Mount Everest. Then
Yeah.
that is the time I have to catch my thought process and say,
Yes.
no, I can do it. I
Yes.
don't want to do it, but I can do it if I want to. So
Nilkanth,
this is something.
I cannot tell you how important it is for me to hear this at this point of 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 this point in my career journey. That if I put my mind to something, I can achieve it. And right, I mean, a lot has happened. I don't know if you're following the banking industry. A lot has happened in the banking industry in the last year,
Hmm.
and still ongoing. And it's basically a kind of a career reset, or rebirth kind of a thing. And I'm thinking, what are my goals? Can I really achieve it? And like you rightly said, sometimes you're in self doubt. But now I will remember, this thing which your father said, that if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And we make a we make a note to ourselves, Neelkanth, here, that in the next 5 years we have a conversation again, and I'll tell you that whether I reach there where I put my mind to. So
Yes,
let's our
yes,
life be the testament of it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes, yeah. So now the next point is
Yeah.
that why do we have a doubt in ourselves? The main reason is for having doubts is the what we hear from people
Yeah.
constantly, whether it is your family or it's your friends or it's your colleagues, bosses. They are people are trying to tell you in various other ways that you can't do this.
Correct.
So you have to shut out the outside noise.
Yeah.
But to shut out the outside noise, we have to be clear in our own mind what we want to do.
Yes.
If we don't have clarity, then we tend to listen to outside people.
Yeah.
So this has happened with me. In my younger days, I did not have clarity in my life,
Yeah.
and due to which I listened to people, which left me in a state of confusion.
Yeah, no, I can completely agree to that. I think there was an incident in my personal life which I can narrate, that when I started working, I was pretty active in certain extracurricular activities, and there was this comment which I received after the completion of an extracurricular activities, that it was not good enough or something, and then I took it to heart. And then for the next 2 years, I did nothing, and there was no extracurricular activities which everyone could enjoy, or make me happy also. And in the third year, I told myself, that person is no more. That thought was just momentarily, but it impacted my last year, so I'm not going to let it impact me this year. And people have to say what they have to say, and I do what I have to do. So that is very clear in life, and I completely agree there with Nilkanth, that you have to uh, you know do what you do. It's as simple as that. It's like a very famous Bollywood actress. What's her name? I think Priyanka Chopra. She's like, whatever people say, I do whatever I do, and I think she has got a phenomenal success in terms of where she's coming from and what she has achieved in life, based upon the principle that I do what I do. So, and I think this is a
Yes,
very shall I say, Western philosophy, which a lot of us in Asia might be, a little bit hesitant to, because we have our own colonial past also. But it is very hard to break that cage. We have been taught in schools not to ask, or not to question the teachers, and then we take that mindset when we are in organization. We don't ask questions to the senior management, and that results in all kind of not so very good things. So we have to break that mindset, and shun that, and that starts with us. And that starts with putting a filter to what people are saying, and it has to go through this machine whereby, okay, I'm not letting all the thoughts in the world to enter me. Sometimes feedback are important. It is not to say, like, you're in one-to-one year-end conversation and your boss is saying something and then you're like, no, I do not listen to you. That mean those settings are different. So we have to be aware of what is constructive feedback, and that goes to us also. When we are providing that feedback to other people, we need to be making it sure that we are not targeting the person, we're targeting the problem. And same goes to us also. you know we are not a single thing we do. We are a complex amalgamation of a lot of things, a lot of emotions, and a lot of things. So a certain period, a certain point in time, we may or may not do something that doesn't define us, and we need to move on in life, improving whatever feedback we are getting. But yeah, not to hold us back based upon a single person's opinion. Opinion, the opinion, like we said, the motto is we do what we do.
Yes, and I will go a step further and say, forget other people. We
Yeah.
should not necessarily listen to our own thoughts always.
Yes.
Always
Yes.
be uncertain.
Yes.
You know, even our own thoughts, we don't necessarily listen.
Yeah.
We should be uncertain of everything in life,
Yeah.
and that is what helps us to move ahead. And talking of listening to people, there is some on I am a member of Mind Valley. I do their various quests,
Fantastic.
and you may have heard of Mind Valley. It's an
Yes. Yes.
online
Yes. The
learning
Malaysian
platform.
guy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Vishan Lakiani.
Yeah.
Now, there on one of the quests, I don't remember the author's name, she said there are only two types of people you should listen to, no one else.
Yeah.
One is experts, and second is people who have your good at heart. Don't, so anytime someone tells you something, filter it to the filter that thought to through these two things,
Yeah.
and say that, okay, someone tells you that, okay, you should be losing weight or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, you say, okay, now does this fellow have my good at heart, or he's just
Yes.
trying to, you know,
Just
make fun
make
of
a
me
pass
or
by
trying
comment.
to be bitchy or whatever?
Yeah.
And second, is he some expert on health?
Yeah.
One of the two. Even if that
Yes.
fellow is not an expert on health, if he has your good at heart,
Correct.
then you should listen. But if the
Yes.
person does not have your good at heart, he's not an expert in that topic, just take it from this year and just let it go out.
That's why
I
we have
try
to.
and follow that principle to a large extent.
Yeah. No, it's a good roadmap of how to have this theoretical concept of not listening to everything and anything on the world, given social media has just brought it to masses, a single message. I think these principles, and I think I'm going to apply it to my own life also, that only to a certain I mean, to listen to only experts or people who have really think good of me or really want me to progress. So that's a good
Yes,
benchmark. I'm going to apply it to my own
yes,
life.
yes, yes, yes. And okay, now I will come to the next one is unleash the power of goal setting. This is
Yeah.
principle 7. Goal setting is, there are books written on goal setting. Now I follow a system of goal setting which works
Yeah.
for me. I mean, I've learned this from Michael Hyatt, who's an author. Jack Canfield also has a certain system he's written, but I am now going to refer up to Michael Hyatt, whose books
Yeah.
I've read. We all have heard of something known as smart
Yeah.
goals.
Yes.
I am now going to talk of smarter goals, which Michael Hyatt talks of, where S is specific, M is measurable, A is actionable, R is relevant, SMAR, SMAR,
T.
R is relevant, T is time keyed,
Time.
E is exciting, and R is risky.
Wow.
So now I'll give a simple example. Suppose we want to reach a certain weight, say
Yeah.
65 kgs or whatever weight one wants to reach. Is it specific? Okay, when I say 65 kg, it is
Yeah.
specific. Is
Yes.
it measurable? Yes, it is measurable. Is it actionable? Now, suppose if you are 130 kg and you want to become 65 kg, it doesn't make sense because that's not actionable. You
It's
can't
not
do
very
it.
realistic. Yes.
It's not realistic. Now, next is it relevant? For example, if you are already, for your height weight ratio, your body mass index, you are perfect, then the point is, do you want to reach a certain weight? If you're not a big eater, you regularly exercise, this reaching a certain weight may not be relevant.
Yeah.
So is it relevant to what you want to do?
Correct.
This is time keyed. Say I want to reach 75 kg by say 31st March, 31st December, whatever. So you have to have a time. Next
Yes.
is it exciting? Suppose you are 67 kgs and you want to get to 65 kgs. It doesn't make sense. There is no excitement in that. So it has to be exciting and it has to be risky. I mean, for example, getting to a weight of 65 kg may not be risky, but let us talk of John F. Kennedy, who in 1961 said, I think it was he said by May or whatever the month, in
Yes.
1969,
Correct.
US will land a person on the moon.
On the moon. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is really a smarter goal. Now, if you talk here, was it specific? Yes, landing on the moon.
Yeah.
Was it measurable? It was measurable. Was it actionable? Yes. I mean, NASA was there. Next
Yes.
is, was it relevant? Yes. US wanted to become a superpower. So for them, it was relevant. Was
Yes.
it time kid? Yes. He said 1969. Was it exciting? I mean, what can be more exciting than going to the moon? I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything more exciting.
Yes.
And finally, was it risky? Yes. I mean, going to the moon is definitely a risky proposition.
Yeah.
So this is as far as setting your goal. Now, setting goal is one thing. What do you do after that? After that, the most important point is, what are your key inspiration? What is your key motivation? This is again all from Michael Hyatt.
Yeah.
Why do you want to reach a certain weight? Is it because you want to have more energy? You want to be more fit? You want to be a more role model for others?
Yeah.
Or you want to feel good about yourself? So write down those key inspiration and the key motivations for that,
Correct.
whatever your goal is. Next is, what are the next actions you have to take? Suppose reaching a certain weight.
Yeah.
Is it checking your weight every day? I mean, it's not necessary. But for example, I check my weight every day because I have kept a target of reaching a certain weight.
Yeah.
Next is calories. Now I have made a list of calories of all the foods I eat. Now I did this only for a short time, say 10 days, because now I'm
Yeah.
generally aware.
Yes.
So calculate the calories. Next is become aware of what you are going to eat. And for example, you can also read books. Now there is a book by Marissa Peer, You Can Be Thin. Say read a book or take
Yeah.
online courses. I mean, there are books on fasting.
Yes.
I mean, I have read that book by Marissa Peer, You Can Be Thin,
Yeah.
where she says more than your diet and exercise, it's your mindset. So, I mean, just to give an example, so think of the next actions you have to take. The
Correct.
final point is the rewards. The rewards can be okay on the weekend. You can maybe splurge a bit,
Yeah.
so that you have a reward to again on a Monday start with your weight is just one example to start with whatever goal you have thought of. So
Yes.
once you get into this cycle of smarter goals, key inspiration, next steps, and the rewards,
Yes.
then it will help you in achieving your goal.
Fantastic. And that is rightly said so, because even though the modern technology has taken leaps and bounds in the last 100 200 years, but the human brain, which has been developed for millions of years, hasn't been able to catch up. So these rewards are important because that tells our primitive brain that we have done something, so we get a treat. And that's how we train our pets also. And that's the primitive brain which we have, that when you do certain kind of things, you reward yourself with that, and then it gives that dopamine kick, and reinstate that belief. Okay, we are on the right path. This is, if we do certain this thing, subconsciously we are telling our mind and body that you will get certain things. So it motivates us, it keeps the cycle going. So I think we just have 10 more minutes left, Neelkan. So we have, I think, four more principles. So let's just,
So,
I think, in the benefit of everything, we would like to just touch upon everything, and
okay,
let's see how
okay.
much we can cover. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Paras, you want to end in 10 minutes, or we can go a bit
We can
further?
go a little bit further. Yeah, we can go a little bit further. I think we can
Okay,
go
okay. So,
10 minutes more. Yeah.
okay, okay. So I
Yeah.
will now quickly get into the next principle is take action. This
Yeah.
is success principle 13, where unless we take action, it's obvious. I mean, Jack
Yes.
Canfield says people don't pay you for your thoughts, they pay
Yes.
you for your action.
Yes. I always say this famous thing that what is the cost of an idea of making Facebook, or what is the cost of an idea of making Google or generative AI? The value of the idea is nothing. It's zero. Because a lot of people have this idea. A lot of people would have thought about something like Amazon, people just on ordering everything online, because Yahoo chat was there around in 90s and early 2000s. People were talking to each other. People would have thought, hey, if I can just message this person to bring me something, and I pay him something. you know these ideas have no values unless these are acted upon. So I'm a big fan of taking action, because I believe in that. Human, like we started this session with saying principles, and it's like rules of physics. So you have to, there's a principle which says in inertia. So if you're not applying motion to a certain state of body, it will continue to remain in that state. So if you're not taking action, you'll continue to be where you are, and the world will
Yes,
move on, but you will stay there. So you have to act upon it. Is absolutely at the top of personal development. You have to act.
absolutely. And I will skip a few points, but I'll take the most important ones. Now, next is he talks of perfection.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
We should never focus on perfection. We should focus on excellence.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, Paras, to give you an example, I mean, I am talking here.
Yeah.
I don't regularly speak. I mean, I'm not a public speaker. And I
Yeah.
know I'm not the best public speaker. But unless I attempt and
Correct.
make mistakes and learn,
Yes.
so important is that with every step you get to excellence. I mean, I am not an
Yes.
excellent speaker, but my aim is that. And I don't
Yes.
want to be perfect. I know I will make mistakes. And it's only when I learn from the mistakes will I be able to improve and change.
Exactly. That's how it is. That's the cycle. It couldn't have been said better.
Yes,
That's it.
yes, yes, thank you. Yes. And as far as the take action, the final principle in final part of this principle is going from failure to success.
Yeah.
Unless, see, no one learns much from their successes. People learn only from failures, and failures will only come when you take action.
Yes.
If you don't take action, there is no question of failure because you don't do anything. So there's no
Exactly.
question of failing.
Exactly. I think that is one of those quotes. I don't remember who said it, and I don't remember the quote exactly, but I think the essence is that the world does not belong to the critic who is standing in the audience. The world belongs to the person who is on the ground, who is acting.
Yes,
The words don't matter. The action matter. The gladiator in
yes,
the ring who's doing the thing, they matter. I absolutely agree with it. I think, like I said in the
yes,
beginning of this session, also, like, this book brought a lot of point. I was not reading this genre for a very long time, and this book brought a lot of those points back. And so is this session also. This conversation is also bringing all those points which I had read, I think in 2012, 2013, and now it is coming back to me when I need them the most. So this absolute and this session and this book is absolutely golden.
Yes. There are, there's a author by the name of John Maxwell who's written more than 100 books. He's got
Yes.
a book by the name of Fail Forward. I've not read it. I've got the book, but
Yeah.
it is that, I mean, Robin Sharma also says that every week, unless you fail,
Yeah.
you are not going towards your dreams.
Wow.
So he says, in fact, you should write down where you're failing every week. And if every week you are only getting successes, that means you are not doing what you should be doing. So this is, an important point.
I wrote it already down, Nilkanth.
Yeah, yeah.
Every week I'm failing forward.
Correct,
Because
correct.
there's this great saying in China which says that in ancient Chinese books they had a lot of chapters, and then there was this poem at the very start of these Chinese book, and then the saying is that if you understand the poem, then you don't need to read the rest of the book. So like failing forward, it itself says that even if you fail, you're always failing towards the
Yes,
front. And
yes,
there, there is nothing, I mean, failure, if not anything, will give you an experience.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Unless, it doesn't kill you. So you have to be sure that that failure doesn't kill you. As long as this doesn't
Yes.
kill you, you are safe,
Even if
or
it
it
does,
will
it
injure
will
you.
benefit the humankind. Even if it does,
Yes,
I hope it benefits the humankind.
yes, yes,
Because
yes,
I think there would be
absolutely.
somebody who would in the wild, thousands and thousands of years back, who would have had that poisonous ivy or a poisonous fruit, would have told the rest of the people that that poisonous ivy is dangerous. Somebody would have ventured into the ocean and would have drowned, who would have told the thousands and thousands of people that drowning kills, right? So yeah, if not you, at least a lot of other people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, coming to the next point is feel the fear and do it anyway. There is a book by Susan Jeffers by
Yeah.
the same name. The author he has mentioned the book. I mean, Jack Canfield has mentioned the book, and the success principle is on that. Basically, we as humans have to realize that, in the old days, there were the hunter gatherers
Yes.
where they had, I would say, danger everywhere. I mean, it could be a saber-toothed tiger who will come and eat them up,
Yeah.
or there would be hunter-gatherers going for the same food.
Yes.
So our reptilian brain is tuned to see fear. This
Correct.
is the way we are born.
Yes.
But
It keeps us safe.
it keeps us safe. But
Yes.
having said this, we as humans tend to fear many things we should not be.
Yeah.
In fact, in the book, she says, Susan Jeffers, 95% of the things that we fear do not happen.
Exactly.
So it
Cannot
is
agree
it
more.
is it is only the 5%, and out of that 5%, there will be 3% things on which you have no control.
Yes.
There would be only 2%, 1 or 2% things which can happen, over which you can have control. So
Correct.
focus only on those 1 or 2%.
Correct.
And if you do this, I think we'll get over our fears. And
Yes.
and he has given the long form of fear. He says false evidence appearing real. This cannot be more true.
Yeah. No, I think that is rightly said, because the main function of the brain is not to help a person achieve its goals, do well in life, or do anything. The main function why the human body has a brain is to protect itself. So anything which threatens your survival or perceived survival, the brain will stop you into doing any action, basically freezes you. So but I think you have to tell your brain, okay, I understand, thank you for reminding me that I am in an environment where there is a perceived threat, but it's fine. If I don't go out in an environment in a jungle where there are saber tooths, where there are cheetahs or lions or whatnot, I will die in my cave anyway of hunger. So I have to go out. But thank you for
Yes,
reminding me.
yes,
I've heard,
absolutely.
listened to you. So now I'm going out. Nevertheless.
Yes. And you know the most important thing is that fear comes because there is a big goal. Now say public speaking or whatever.
Yeah.
We break down those goals into smaller parts, like going to the moon. I mean, going to the moon is a big goal. Unless we break it down into small steps, we are not going to get over the fear. So we have to break down
Yes.
our goals to get over a
Yeah.
fear. And the final point in this is there is, one person by the name of Herman Cortez.
Yeah.
In 1519, he invaded Mexico and told all his soldiers, "You burn the boats."
On the words. Yes.
In fact, today only I have ordered the book after seeing this "Burn the Boats" from in
Yeah.
Jack Canfield by Matt
Yes.
Higgins. So
Yes.
this is, unless you burn your boats, you cannot get over your fear.
Yes. There's no plan B. You forward is the
You
only
should,
way.
you should not have. For example, you want to start a business.
Yeah.
Of course, when you start a business, you should have a saving and investment. That's one part of it. But you
Yes.
have to just plunge,
Correct.
and with
Absolutely.
whatever savings you have, and of course, you have to take calculated risks. You can't just take risk and be on the street. So
Yes.
you have to take calculated risks and move ahead,
Yes.
which is
No,
which is the most
I
important.
this word which you just mentioned, calculated risk, I think this is very important for the younger generation who would be listening to this podcast later, that they
Yeah.
know they see that Mark Zuckerberg quit his Stanford or Harvard education, or Bill Gates quit his college. So this is the new cool to quit education. But if you really see their stories, they basically had the deals with the universities that they are going to pursue these projects, and if it doesn't work, they will come back. So they
Yes.
always took that calculated risk. I think this is very important word which a lot of younger generation fails to understand. I think you rightly brought it to everyone's attention, that it is so important to make sure that what is at stakes and what we are going to lose, and what options I would have after if this doesn't go. Definitely, I think now people will say, hey, we just mentioned that we have to burn all our boats, so now what, how we are saying calculated risk. So there is this book by Angela Duckworth. I think she mentions grit.
Yeah.
Grit
Great.
basically mentions that you have to hold on to something and then just go about it. So, but the question is, when do I let go? When do I know that okay, this is not for me? So the answer is very clear. In the beginning itself, you define the time period. If you are saying, okay, I want to learn a piano, you in that beginning define, okay, for the next 6 7 months I'm going to commit myself to it, and then I'm not going to listen to my brain in this 6 months or 7 months, which will be constantly saying to me, hey, quit, do something else, do something that. I've defined it in the very beginning only, and at the end of it I will revisit that thought whether I want to pursue or not. But I am defining that, and that's what I'm moving forward. So calculated risk is very important, which a lot of people, at least the young people, don't understand. They go with the flow, but life is not that. Life, whatever, a personal example is that whatever is shiny right now may not be the shiny 10 years down the line. When I entered the education, the shiniest field was engineering, that it was the evergreen thing. And then when I was moving towards the end of my engineering, the shiniest field was doing MBA, and do banking jobs and consulting jobs and whatnot. Now the cycle has reversed. Engineering has again come up, and but does that really mean that you should go towards a management consulting career or a banking career and not go for engineering career, or the other way around, you should go for engineering career or not go for these careers? It is, I think, what over the time of my experience with engaging and shifting gears, especially in careers, I what I've come to understand is that whatever is happening in the world is one thing, but what you have to do is wholly different. So you go with what you have to do, you do what you have to do, and the world may fall into place. And even if it doesn't, you always learn something, and then you apply into something which you really want to do from that point in time. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I think we have 5 more minutes, Nilkanth, so we maybe touch the last 2 points, because I really
Yes,
want
yes,
to
yes,
get this learning into me and all the people who would be listening to this podcast later.
yes, yes. Now I will come to the next principle, which is principle 32 in the book.
Yeah, yeah,
And I will quickly go through it and come to the last principle, which in my opinion is the most important. So we'll just complete those two principles.
yeah,
Transform your inner critic into inner coach.
yeah.
Now, I have been mentioning that a person has several thoughts. A person has more than 50,000 thoughts going on in his mind.
Yes,
Now, we cannot catch those 50,000 thoughts, but we are to be aware to the maximum extent. What
yes,
Jack Canfield talks is he talks of something known as ants. That is
yes,
automatic negative thoughts.
yes,
Every person will have those thoughts.
yes.
Important is when you get an automatic negative thought, you have to challenge yourself and you have to convert it into a positive thought and think that is that thought getting in you into the direction where you want to go.
Correct.
And if it is not, then we have to change your thought. Of course, this is easier said than done, because when you are depressed, for example, or you have lost your job,
Yeah,
it's a big challenge to convert into a positive thought. Then in that case, you need outside help.
yeah.
So it's easier said than done, but we are to go in that direction.
It's like meditation. It's like everything which we do, it's basically practice. It all comes down to practice. And
Yes,
before everything else, also it is the awareness. If you're not aware of all these things, it will go and take you for a spin. And one of the I met a person, um, 10 years back, who had Buddhist philosophy, and she told me that in Buddhism they teach that the thoughts are not us, and there are so many thoughts which are just passing through us like sunlight. And but they are not us. It is just thoughts, and sometimes it thinks of something, and sometimes else it may just go somewhere else. It's like faster than the speed of light. It is right now in on Mars, and now it is on Jupiter, so it is very fast. But what we have to be most aware of, and I completely agree with this, automatic negative thinking is basically the brain, the which is meant for survival, is basically is not meant for a person to wake up early in the morning and do gym. The brain says you are very comfortable in your bed, that is best for survival. But I think we have to tell our brain that no, in my long term, my health is important, which eventually leads to my longevity, and to be in good shape and good mindset and good health. So big believer of this, Nilkant.
yes, yes. So that's important. That and the last point, I will not touch on this. There are many points, but I'll quickly
Yeah,
go through it. He says,
yeah,
love. I mean,
yeah,
unless you love yourself, you cannot love anyone. And self compassion. I have got a workbook by an author, I forget the name, where there are various exercises on self compassion,
yeah,
which I myself want to do it at some stage. I have not got the time till now.
yeah.
But it's very important that we first have compassion for ourselves. After
Correct,
that, we'll have compassion for others. Because, if in your head, if you're critiquing yourself always, it will not get you where you want to go. So
correct.
you say, suppose, you make a mistake, for
Yeah,
example. Like, for example, someone tells you have not done so and so thing. Like yesterday, my sister, she's my elder sister. So
yeah,
she's saying, no, you have not done this, you have not done that. So
yeah,
I said, yes, I have. I mean, I could have got into a inner critique, that why she's saying that. But
yeah.
I realized that, yes, I have delayed and I should be doing that thing. It's something to do with
Yes,
my mother's work. So I
yeah,
said I should be doing it.
yeah.
So I have become my own coach, and I have
Yes,
coached myself. Instead of criticizing myself, or instead of criticizing my sister, I have
yes.
coached myself that I have to change and I have to do certain things which I have not been doing.
Correct.
So acceptance is the first point.
Yes. No, and
Yeah.
to really be kind to yourself and see and retrospect sometimes also and reflect that where we started and where we have come from. So there is a lot of good things which have gone into putting us in a place where we are right now. So we have to be kind to ourselves, saying, oh yeah, I mean, of course it's not meaning that we have to sit on our laurels, but it is good to retrospect and be kind to ourselves and to acknowledge that. I think that is really important. And like I said, bathing is important, but you have to do it every day. So coaching and mentoring is important, but you have to do it every day. And the only person who is with you all the time is your brain and your self-conscious. So
Absolutely.
if that is
Your
your
own self.
coach, then you're good. Then you're good for
You know,
life.
a coach or mentor can be with you for a short time, but you are with
Yes.
yourself your 24 hours,
24 hours.
full
You're
daytime,
there.
night time, whatever. So you have to be your own coach.
Yes.
Coming to the final
Fantastic.
point, Paras, is
Yes.
from my point of view, this is the final point,
Yeah.
but it is, in my personal opinion, is even more important than taking 100% responsibility. This
Yeah.
is his success principle 20. Maybe, Jack Canfield, he started his journey of growing much earlier, while
Yeah.
I started later. So I can vouch that this principle, which is commit to constant and never ending improvement, learning,
Correct.
growth. See, unless you are learning, unless you are growing, whether it's by reading, reflecting, journaling, applying, experimenting,
Yeah.
you will not even know that you need to take 100% responsibility.
Yes.
You are not even aware. So, this Vishen Lakhani also says, the founder of Mind Valley, that the most important thing in life, nothing is more important, which is constant and never ending improvement.
Correct.
If you do that, everything falls in place.
Yes.
And I will quickly end this. In Japanese, there is a word known by the name of kaizen, which is constant and
Kaizen.
never ending improvement. We have heard of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And important is that we improve one step at a time and
Correct.
select the right skill, which is individual for each person, and
Yes.
constantly grow and improve.
Yes.
So I think I've kept this at the last, and in my opinion, it's the most important point.
It's the
So with
cherry
this, I will end. Yes,
it's the
cherry
cherry
on the
on the
cake.
cake.
Yeah, so I end this from my side. It's nothing more to say.
No, I think this is fantastic. Like I said, what we have done today is made a healthy protein shake for lifelong growth. And at this point in time in my career, and many hundreds of people who would be listening to this podcast later, this is pivotal, right? To reflect certain principles which really work, like we touched upon the principle of inertia, things like self growth. And I completely agree that you always have to learn. When I first came to Singapore and visited, the first thing I did was visiting the library, and every library I went to, there was this tag which said lifelong learning. So this word has always been in my mind, lifelong learning, that it doesn't matter. And it is so relevant to us in this age than what it was to my grandfather, for that example, because world was not changing so much. Today, I mean, a couple of years back there was nothing called as generative AI. Now the office space and the work culture will be completely different in couple of years from now due to generative AI. So having an and Singapore has already started teaching kids generative AI in the school. So, and if we don't learn, if are not constantly developing, we will be the dinosaurs, and everyone knows what happened to the dinosaurs.
Yes, yes, yes,
So I
yes,
think
yes.
on that note, I really want to thank you, Nilkanth, for selecting this book and your time over the entire duration. We have been in conversation in January and February and last year also, and thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule for us today, deep diving into the principles of the book. It was really fantastic. I know you will be hearing a lot of people coming back to you thanking, and I start with myself, who brought this book, success principles, to our lives, because I think I needed to read this book. I needed to have this session right now in my career, then have it 5 years from now, and regret certain things. So I'm very happy that these things happened right now, and it's all because of you. So from the bottom of my heart, really, and on behalf of the Words Book Club members, thank you so much, Nilkanth, for your time and energy today. Absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you, Paras, for inviting me. And it would be a pleasure at any other time in the future also to speak on some other book. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Nilkanth.
Okay, thank
Take
you. Thank
care.
you. Take care and bye. Bye.
Bye bye.